my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to the channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, information about the tactics used on targets, information about the technology used on targets, and information about the targeted individual program in general, y'all. Y'all, just more documentation of manipulative targeted individual abuse and tactics. So if you checked out the last video, you have heard me talking about this ongoing situation that's been happening in my targeting that's related to an incident, or that pertains to, not related to, y'all. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Look at the time, y'all. Look at the top, 2 a.m. I'm at work. Y'all know I do security at night. Anyway, that pertains to this incident that took place with a personal trainer from my old gym at the end of 2024. Y'all, we're in 2026, almost halfway through 2026, and they're still punishing me for something that's out of my control because the way that the situation looked. Listen to that video, that last video I posted, to know what I'm talking about, y'all. I went into detail about that situation because it's taken a front seat in my targeting, and they've made it like the focal point of my targeting. It's such an irrelevant part of the targeting, and they've made it the focal point of my targeting because they're friends with him and they don't like how the situation ended. They don't like how the situation looked. Again, y'all, this is going to sound like jargon or like foreign info if you don't listen to the last video. And if you haven't been keeping up with my videos, because I've been documenting the ongoing situation. And then something occurred with his girlfriend 6 months ago. And that really was, oh my God, y'all, that was it. They really started to amp up with the tactics that they're using as it pertains to this personal trainer. So check out my last video, y'all. I made some good points in that video. They even were making noise campaigns insinuating that I made good points. So the long and short of it is, y'all, that personal trainer, after a year of me working out in proximity to him, so in the same vicinity as him, started to randomly for a whole month do horrible gang stalking activity. You know, like he was trying to hurt or humiliate me. And it started as soon as this name started popping in my head of another personal trainer from that gym. By the way, y'all, I had been working out around both of these guys for around a year with no incident. So anyway, the guy's name, when I heard his name, I learned it. You know, I had been working out around him for the whole year and I didn't know his name, the guy whose name started popping in my head. And when I heard one of them call his name, it created this thing where it's, you know, anxiety is what caused it, really. Anyway, if you listen to the last video, you'll hear the whole thing, y'all. But, excuse me. His name started popping in my head. I've talked about this already, y'all. You know, as a target, they use technology on us, right? Again, check out the links in the description box and comment section, y'all. And learn about the technology that they use on targets and the technology that they have in the world, that exists in the world. Please check out the last video where I share info about this technology. The video before the last one, y'all. Targeted individual discussing brain to computer interface, and you see the thumbnail of the brain and the computer. Check out that video where I go into detail about this technology that they're using on targets and the agenda behind the targeted individual program, how they intend to use it on the general population in the future if God spares our life. That's the intention. It's like some sort of new world order agenda. And a scientist, a Harvard DARPA scientist, Robert Duncan, said this on camera. It came from the horse's mouth. That whole interview is in the description box and comment section as well, y'all. So check out those links. It's pertinent info. The first few links you'll see, like I said, links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020. My full story, it's been a wild one, y'all, and I have an extremely unique targeting. But then the other links are just straight up informational. Links that share info about the technology used on targets, the agenda behind the targeted individual program, tactics used on targets, etc. Check out those links, y'all. Pertinent info. I wish I knew earlier on in my targeting. Anyways, y'all, nonetheless, so with the neuromonitoring technology, they can hear your thoughts in real time. It's technological telepathy. So they can hear your thoughts in real time. Anything you think, they can hear it. It's via the brain to computer interface technology. Everyone around you can hear your thoughts. So what happens is it's like this psychological thing that sometimes things will pop in your head and you can't control it. Similar to Tourette's. I keep using Tourette's as an analogy to explain what it feels like. So if you're anxious about a person for whatever reason, that person's name might start popping in your head, or a word that's associated with that person might start popping in your head, and you just can't control it. And the more you feel anxious about it, the more it seems like it wants to pop in your head. So it's really intense, y'all, when they start using this technology on you. And then you're being watched on camera 24/7. It's a torture tactic. It's a torture program. It's a sadistic torture program. Anyway, so typically when you get thrown in, it's out of revenge. I keep saying that, but there's a bigger picture behind it all. Like I said, at the surface level, whoever was well connected enough to get you thrown in the program likely did it as some sort of retribution. But the whole agenda behind the program at the higher level is experimentation. And so they're experimenting on targets with the plan to use the technology on the general population to create some sort of hive mind where everyone will be microchipped and hooked up to some sort of brain-computer interface as some sort of New World Order agenda. Check out that Robert Duncan interview in the description box and comment section, y'all. He's a reputable source. Anyway, so while that's happening, and they're hearing your thoughts, the psychological thing will happen, like I was just saying, where sometimes things you're fearful of or you're anxious about will pop in your head. So if it's a word associated with a person, that might pop in your head. Or if it's the person's name, the person makes you anxious for whatever reason, the name will start popping in your head. I told you already, it was happening a couple years ago with with the secretary, the main secretary that creates the schedules for my night shift security job. When I first got back on the island in 2022, after the targeting went viral, if you listen to my story, you'll hear the whole saga, y'all. I was targeted in 2020 when I moved back home to the Virgin Islands to teach. I graduated from college in Florida, moved home to teach. I sent a text message summer of 2020 that led to me being thrown in the targeted individual program. For 2 years, I was here on the island dealing with targeting, and I didn't know that's what it was. I just knew something weird was happening due to the text I sent. Kept trying to talk to the people in my close circle about the text and what was happening as a result of. They were not acknowledging what was going on. They kept gaslighting me and, like, what text? What are you talking about? What bullshit are you talking about? So eventually, summer of 2022, I wrote a letter of resignation and I resigned from a teaching job and I tried to relocate off island. You had to know something intense was happening for me to leave a good job. I was 29. I had everything going for me aside from the targeting, but the targeting ruins everything. I had a car that I had paid for in full. I had an apartment with utilities included that was only $600 a month, and I was a teacher, and I was doing security to the side, so I had money. I left all of that, y'all, because I was trying to get away from the targeting. I didn't know I was a target, y'all. I didn't even know about this program, much less the fact that they use all this high science technology, etc. I didn't learn that until later on down the line. So anyway, summer of 2022, tried to relocate. I made this big plan, saved up like $5,000. Listen to my story, y'all. I'm not trying to sit here and tell the story again. But when I tried to relocate, long story short, it followed me, the targeting. I had reactions to it following me, not understanding how something like this could attach itself to me and not really understanding how high level and high science this thing is and how serious it is when you get thrown into something like this, where it follows you wherever you go. Typically, like, you watch movies, if, something goes bad in the town you're in, you can just start over, pack up your shit and start over somewhere else. Not with the targeting. It attaches itself to you, and wherever you go, it follows you. And then along the way, you have reactions, and those reactions follow you as well. And so the new enemies you pick up follow you everywhere you go, and it's like, it's not this I can start over somewhere new type thing. It's really spiteful when you get thrown in this thing. Anyway, y'all, so when I tried to relocate, long story short, the thing followed me. I had some egregious reactions, didn't know I was targeted, made some stupid choices, and had some bad reactions. There was a point where I was living in my car in Florida, My intention was to relocate to Indiana. I caught a series of Greyhound buses from Florida to Indiana when I flew up to Florida in 2022 after trying to relocate off island. Along the way, I realized the targeting followed me shortly before reaching my last stop, shortly before reaching Indiana. So I had a reaction on the Greyhound bus. If you listen to my story, y'all, you'll hear the whole saga. The reaction led to the targeting going viral. And by the time I got to Indiana, things had amped up. There were cars following me everywhere, a bunch of civilians in different vehicles following me. And this is a random state. You know, I'm an island girl from the Caribbean, and I'm all the way out in Indiana. And all these cars are following me and stalking me. It was very scary, and I'm being surveilled, etc. So one thing led to the next, y'all, and the targeting just kept getting worse and worse. Then there was an incident with a police officer. Never had a problem with the police, y'all. Never had a run-in with the police or the law. Didn't even have a speeding ticket prior to the targeting. All of a sudden, now this police officer pulls me over after a whole month of me being stalked by civilians in Indiana due to this reaction I had at the Greyhound station. Didn't physically harm anyone, y'all, by the way. It was just this offensive reaction, reactive abuse to realizing the thing followed me. Anyway, so the police officer pulled me over while I was in Indiana. He was screaming at me from the moment he pulled me over. So I was scared, and I had already been being stalked for a whole month by civilians, random civilians. You know how gang stalking works and targeting, etc. At this time, I did not know I was a target. I still was just thinking that this was the weird thing in the islands that had followed me to the States. I was like, how the hell did it follow me? And how is it, this thing where everyone can see me and I'm being followed and surveilled? Like, I was still just learning and awakening and learning about targeting. So anyway, the police officer, as soon as he pulled me over, he was screaming at the top of his lungs. I was scared. Gave him my license when he went to his vehicle. I knew I was being surveilled at this point. I didn't know about the technology. I didn't know that they were using insect drones, i.e. MAVs, y'all. And MAV is an acronym for micro air vehicles. So I didn't know that's how they were watching me. I just knew somehow they had cameras in my car, right? So while he was in his car running my ID, I purposely said I'm recording him because I knew he could hear me. I knew my car was being surveilled. I didn't say it to his face. I wasn't disrespectful to him, but I was scared due to a whole month of aggressive gang stalking by countless individuals, countless civilians. So I said the recording thing, and when he came back to my car, his whole demeanor had changed. He was being nicer to me. He was being more friendly. He gave me back my ID, sent me on my way. I went about my business. After that, police officers, ambulances, helicopters, small planes started being utilized on me. So the targeting had went to a higher level, obviously. Those things were not being utilized on me before. I hear other targets talk about this all the time. Ambulances and, police cars being used on them. That was not happening to me prior to this incident or this run-in with this police officer. It was after that incident with him where I noticed that I started seeing the police cars, the ambulances, the helicopters, the small planes, etc. In addition to the countless civilians that were stalking me. So I ended up, relocating back down to Florida en route back to the island because I realized there was no way I was going to survive out there with what was happening. I was hopping from hotel to hotel. There was gang stalking in the hotels. I didn't feel safe. I felt uncomfortable. I was spending off the little $4,000 I had saved up. Had a whole plan, y'all. I was planning to go up there and get into trucking. I had already started the process to get my CDL. I found a trucking company in Indiana that provides lodging and free schooling so that you can get your CDL. And then how you pay them back is you work for them for a year and you pay them back out of your paychecks. So I had a whole plan, y'all. I was planning to save up, get into trucking, eventually purchase my own trucks, become an owner-operator, purchase an LLC, and I wanted to start my own trucking company. I saw multiple people doing it and making millions of dollars doing it, and I saw the stripper that did it. I'm like, I know I can do this. I was a teacher. I can do this. I'm well-equipped. I can do this. Not so, y'all. The whole thing was sabotaged and whatever else happened. So nonetheless, when I realized what was going on in Indiana and that I would not be able to thrive, I ended up heading back down to Florida en route back to the island I tried to relocate off of. While this process is happening, y'all, my credit was good at the time. It's now a 400 and change due to targeting and asset losses, etc. But at the time, I had a 700 and change credit score, almost 800 and change credit score. Y'all, I'm smelling a weird smell now. It seems like they're gassing the booth or something. I'm smelling a strange smell coming in here now. Anyways, y'all, So I was able to get this car in Carvana because my credit score was a 700 and change at the time. And it was this low monthly payment, low monthly car note. So I could have easily kept up with that had I been living a normal life and had I not been targeted and living out of my vehicle doing DoorDash. But it was just a nightmare, y'all. So while I was staying in my car in Florida, the car I got off of Carvana, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do, because I just, in my head, I'm like, I can't go back home after everything that was going on down there. The thing followed me up here, but I can't stay here. You know, this is real bad. I don't know anyone out here, and the targeting is much worse. I'm actually barely surviving. So in my head, I knew I had to come home, but I was just trying to figure things out still. So like for a good month, I stayed in my car in Florida, just trying to mull over the situation and figure things out and trying to figure out escape routes. And I'm like, there's no way I'm escaping this, is what I was realizing. So anyway, while I'm in my car, living in my car in Florida, y'all, eventually I started looking up videos for spiritual protection because I felt like I was under spiritual warfare. You know, when you deal with targeting and you don't know about the program, y'all, before you learn about it, when you're just awakening, I guess, it's easy to think that witchcraft has been done or sort of spiritual warfare because they're using high science technology on you. You know, this is a different day and age, y'all. We're in a different time now, all right? So anyway, with the technology they're using, you might start thinking it's witchcraft. And so that's what I was thinking was going on. I still think something spiritual is going on, to be honest with you all. It's just the level that my targeting has gone to for something so minuscule, for something so trivial. And I've seen people who have done way worse that have never experienced what I'm experiencing. It doesn't make sense. I've pointed out in multiple videos the hypocrisy of the targeting, like the different things they claim this is happening for. And I can show you someone who has done much worse that they know about that they didn't do this to. I'm just like, yeah, okay. It's not making sense. I keep saying it. Anyways, y'all, nonetheless, I really at the time was thinking something spiritual, even more so than now, though, because I didn't know about the technology and, like, you know, the shadow networking where they can send subliminal messaging through the videos you click on. I didn't know about the neural monitoring where they can hear your thoughts and all that stuff I learned about after the fact. So while I was in my car, I was looking up Hebrew videos. At the time, I was Hebrew. We grew up in a household, y'all, where my father was Rastafari, my mother was Christian, my grandfather was a devout Christian, my dad's dad. So it was kind of like a free form kind of household. It wasn't like any strict religion, but we believed in the Bible and we read the Bible together as a family every weekend. And we followed the 10 Commandments, and my dad was kind of strict on us about living a moral life. But it wasn't like this strict religion like what happened when I got to high school and my dad learned about the Hebrew belief system. And he came home and taught us, and, you know, obviously he started showing us stuff and we just adapted to that understanding, and that was what became of the family. We became Hebrew back then. And so everyone in the family was Hebrew. And they still are Hebrew, actually. I don't subscribe to it anymore, y'all, just because of what I've been through. I believe in the Bible and I believe in God. That hasn't changed, but I don't really subscribe to being Hebrew anymore. Anyway, so nonetheless, y'all, and it's just hypocrisy too. Like, what, just all of it is just crazy to me. Them pretending like, even trying to make that a focal point in the targeting. At least that I understand more, though, than the thing with this man from the gym. That I understand more because I knew I was being surveilled and I was purposely sharing like the most offensive Hebrew content in reaction to what they were doing. The most offensive Hebrew content I could find. But they have already, I told you guys this already, used the guys who created the content I was sharing that month in my car in Florida. They've used them as gang stalkers. Like, there are so many levels of hypocrisy to the targeting. Like, you're pretending like that's what it's about. But before I left Island, I hadn't shared those things. And you were doing the same thing to me. I mean, of course, now the targeting's viral and I have more enemies. And now I'm microchipped, etc. But you were surveilling me. You were stalking me on the roads. I was miserable still. Like, you were doing the same stuff. That's why I tried to relocate. Anyway, y'all. So, ended up sitting in my car in Florida and sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. Initially, I was just, like I said, looking at videos about spiritual protection because I felt like I was under spiritual warfare. I've told the story a million times, y'all. I just feel like I'm talking to a dead wall. Like, I just hate telling the story over. I know they know right and wrong, and I know what I'm saying makes sense. So it's just, like, feels redundant and repetitive saying the same shit every time. Trying to defend myself and get out of this fucking shit that I'm stuck in. But anyway, so that's why my voice sounds so monotone, y'all. Anyway, so I sat in my car in Florida looking up those videos, just Hebrew videos from different Hebrew camps. Similar to Christianity, y'all, you have different denominations of Hebrew and different understandings within that belief system. You have variations of the same understanding. So some people believe certain things that other camps don't believe, etc. We were never affiliated with any specific Hebrew group. We kind of just pulled from here and there and whatever. We never really subscribed to any one group. We just looked at info from different groups. I would say the closest that we've come to being associated with any camp was when my sisters and I were in Florida, right before I moved back home, before I graduated from school. There was a Hebrew church that we used to attend there in Florida. There was a mulatto chick in the church, okay? She was half white, half black. So it wasn't anything intense or, like it wasn't terrorist, as they would call it, activity. Even these guys in purple, even though I don't necessarily subscribe to everything that they share, I wouldn't call them terrorists either. I would say that they're sharing offensive content, but I wouldn't call them terrorists. A terrorist is somebody that's actually threatening human life. And if you look at the understanding of Hebrews, they follow the Bible to the T. It's like they take everything literal from the Bible. So you have some people that look at the Bible allegorically. So you're looking at it as more so like stories to teach you how to live your life, right? As some sort of like moral compass or guidance on how you should live your life. And then you have some people that are taking the Bible literally, and they think these stories really took place, and they think there are people here in the earth that are, have lineages from the Bible, etc. I don't want to go into the details about it, y'all. So anyways, Hebrews take the Bible literally, and they follow the commandments literally. So they do not believe in murder. They do not believe in just the full gamut, y'all, the full 10 commandments. So there's no terrorist activity. They don't believe in murdering anybody. They're not going to physically harm anyone. What they're doing is sharing offensive content and an offensive ideology from whatever their perception of the Bible is. It's not terrorist activity to say like they're going to harm somebody or they're planning to harm a group of people. It's not that type of party, y'all. Anyway, so nonetheless, though, I lost my train of thought. Y'all, let me listen back to what I've said, and then I'll come back and finish the video. They're smoking me out, too, I guess because I'm about to speak information that makes sense, as usual. This is what they do. They'll start smoking me out. You'll start smelling stink, nasty, weird smells. You'll start hearing weird noises. Like, this is what they do when you're making sense. This is what they do. Or they'll start beaming my head with the energy weapon, or these are the things they do as a response to videos that make sense. So let me stop the video, y'all, and listen to what I've said so far, and I'll come back and finish. But it's just this manipulative, as usual, tactic that they're trying to use due to something that took place today. So that's why I'm giving this little backdrop story and talking about things I've already talked about in my full story videos, in the videos where I actually tell my story of what started my targeting. I'm summarizing for a reason, y'all. I just want to show you that it's not about what they're pretending it's about. And then also, too, just kind of segueing into what took place today and how it's a continuation of this campaign for the man from the old gym. All right, and it's the tactics they're using, too, trying to now push the thirsty thing because of the manipulative tactic they used today when something happened with my car. Like, that's really the long and short of it, y'all, what the video's about. I'm going to get to it in a minute. There's never been a time where my car has stopped and I didn't get some sort of help. There was a time where my car stopped off in the middle of the road and all these guys from the fish market ran to help me. And they were doing all kinds of stuff with the birds and the flies that day, too, I remember. So it's a tactic, what happened today. But I'll talk about it in a minute. I'll be back. Anyways, y'all, I went off on a tangent, a relevant tangent. You're going to hear in a minute why. Again, this pertains to the last video. So if you listen to the last video, I guess you could call this like part 2 to the last video, or a continuation of. That's kind of what this is. I think I'm going to make this a part 2 to the last video. And I'm going to try to hurry up and wrap it up too, y'all. I don't want this to be super long. But anyway, so listen to my story, y'all, and hear, everything that took place. Even if you listen to the last video, you'll hear me tell you about the things that took place when I tried to relocate off of the island 2 years after the targeting started in 2022. What I was just talking about, and what took place when I was in Florida, Indiana, and several states. What took place while I was up there for about 3 to 5 months I was up there. And I ended up coming back to the island I tried to relocate off of, like November of that same year, 2022. I ended up back on island. And at that point, I did research after what I experienced in the States and realizing the thing followed me. I realized that this was more than just something spiteful that was being done due to a text message. I realized it was there was more to it. I knew there had to be some sort of something. So I just simply typed into my Google search when I got back on island, people being stalked by groups of people. And that was when the term gang stalking popped up. And that was when I was introduced to the whole concept of being a targeted individual. And I saw videos from other people, sharing their experiences. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a target. I was like, that's what's going on. And so this thing attaches itself to you and it follows you, and it's a whole program. And it's associated with something called COINTELPRO. And then from there was just research, y'all, and learning all the things I know now. Things I wish I knew earlier on in the targeting. It would have moved so different, y'all. I would have been able to purchase a jammer before I was locked in the way I am now, where I could have, you purchase a jammer and at least cut the signal off to these cameras, Anyway, y'all, no sense in crying over spoiled milk. But what I was sharing just now is relevant, though, because one of the main things that they push into targeting is me being a bitch and being prejudiced and sharing, offensive content about white people. Because, like I said, for a month in my car, prior to coming back on island, I was sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. Initially, I was looking at the videos for spiritual protection. I was Hebrew at the time, so similar to how a Christian would look up Christian videos for spiritual protection if they felt like they were under spiritual attack, I was looking up Hebrew videos from different Hebrew Israelite camps. Again, we're not affiliated with any specific camp. So I was just looking up random videos from different camps about spiritual protection, and every video I clicked on kept having the theme of predator and sexual abuse and lust and drunkenness and things pertaining to the false narrative that was created from the text message I sent. Listen to my full story, y'all, to get the understanding of what's going on. So again, manipulation. And I didn't know about the technology at the time. So it just, to me, looked like something weird. Like, I thought it was spiritual. I thought it was witchcraft. Because I know I didn't do anything. But every video I'm clicking on is having the theme of angels watching and things in the dark coming to light and lust and, predators. And I'm like, oh my God. And every time I click on the video and this theme would pop up, the gang stalkers in the background would be going ham, Rev campaign. It was so many of them, y'all. There was somebody in the bush, like there was this bush I was parked next to, throwing stuff through the bush on the roof of my car. Like, this is the type of stuff that was taking place, y'all. So eventually I got so angry. And then I was having these reactions too, y'all, because I'm being watched on camera and all these people are watching me. Every time I'm clicking on a video and this theme is popping up and I'm like, how is this happening? And it's looking like it's some sort of spiritual divine intervention, like God is doing it when it's them. And I didn't know about the technology. I'm thinking it's witchcraft. I was having these anxious responses, and every time that theme would pop up, I would start breathing like this shallow kind of breath and shaking. And the more I reacted like that, the more they were revving and doing the horrible stuff they were doing in the background. So eventually I got angry, reactive abuse, and I purposely started clicking on the most offensive Hebrew Israelite content I could find. And I started sharing offensive content about Christians, white people, etc. This was 4 years ago, y'all. This was in 2022. I've since apologized. It wasn't in public, but I knew my car was bugged and surveilled. And you know how it works when you're targeted, y'all. Via these insect drones, there's some sort of live feed. And they're projecting this live feed of you in real time to all the people around you. So I knew I was being surveilled. It was as good as me going on a public platform and sharing those things, but I wasn't in my right state of mind. I was skinny and emaciated. I had been living in my car being stalked by thousands of individuals. My skin was broken out. I wasn't eating good. I wasn't bathing every day. I hadn't done anything, and this thing followed me and blew up the way that it did. And initially, I wasn't even putting on videos to offend you, and you're attacking me for something I didn't do. They're using manipulative technology and sending this theme of predator every video I'm clicking on. So I got angry, and I started sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. And so I started sharing offensive stuff about white people, offensive stuff about Christians, offensive stuff about the holidays, whatever I could find, man. Offensive stuff. It was about a month of me doing that. That was 4 years ago, y'all, 2022. I've since apologized. I have not continued to share the content. Why are you still pushing the theme of change and making it seem as though this is what it's about? Like, I'm still sharing that stuff. But you're using the guys who created the content, because there was one specific Hebrew Israelite camp, y'all, that I was using to share offensive content. And I was sharing the worst of their content. They use those guys as gang stalkers. I talked about this in the last video, y'all, and I've talked about it in multiple videos. And I'm not trying to come for those guys. I already apologized for sharing their content when I'm not affiliated with them. When I'm in this high profile, viral, scandalous situation where these cameras are on me, and then now I'm sharing the worst of your content on camera, and I'm not even affiliated with you. Again, that wasn't the intention. I was genuinely looking up different Hebrew Israelite videos for spiritual protection because that was my belief at the time. And their videos just happened to be some of the videos I was looking up. But when the anger came, their videos were there, and they have offensive content in some of their videos, and I shared it. And so I put a spotlight on them too. I made them look bad, and I'm not even affiliated with you. So even they have, I think, a problem with me. They've never been disrespectful to me, but I've seen them around the place as gang stalkers. They've utilized them and put them in my path as gang stalkers on Island. But my thing is, you know that they created the content that I was sharing. I'm not coming for them, right? I keep saying I'm not trying to come for them. I'm just trying to show you it's not what they're pretending it's about. You know it was their content that I was sharing, but you're using them as gang stalkers? And they still subscribe to that ideology, and they're freely... just on Thanksgiving Day, y'all, I went to one of the main grocery stores to get yams for my mom. And when I went there, they were in front of the store with a big poster sharing content. They had a big poster of a black Jesus in front of the store, and they were sharing content and handing out pamphlets, y'all. Just yesterday, or day before yesterday, when I was headed to the gym. Today's Friday. Well, it's technically Saturday. It's after 12 now. So on Wednesday, y'all, when I was headed to the gym, they had a bunch of them set up by the stoplight handing out pamphlets, y'all. And people were just driving by. Nobody was gang stalking them. Nobody was around where you didn't see white people wearing different color patterns. Nobody was doing anything. They were just standing around handing out stuff freely and comfortably. But you're punishing me aggressively for sharing their content 4 years ago in my car when I was under duress and stress and being stalked and harassed and antagonized. Really? And I've apologized for it, and I'm not still sharing the content. What are you really doing this for? And before I left Island, you were doing this to me. Before I ever shared that content, before I ever made a video, you were doing this to me. That's why I tried to relocate. I couldn't get an answer, a straight answer. I'm like, let's find some sort of resolution. What do I need to do to rectify the situation? What I was met with was gaslighting. And what text? What text? So that's what led to me trying to relocate. I said, okay, so there's no rectification. I can't rectify this. Let me try to leave. Then you attach the thing to me spitefully. You bust up my whole plan. So now I'm back on Island. I done shared offensive shit in Florida, which I've taken accountability for, y'all. But all I ask is you look at the situation. It's cause and effect. They keep making it seem as if the effect was the cause. It's this weird thing they're doing where, like, oh, this is because you did this and you did that. Those were all effects to what you were doing to me. Before I ever shared that stuff, you were doing this to me. What is it really about? Because why are you using the guys that created the content that I shared 4 years ago, that I already apologized for? Why are you using them as gang stalkers if that's what it's about? It doesn't make sense. So anyways, y'all, nonetheless, y'all, ended up back on Island because we're going to reel it back in now. I did go off on a tangent. Ended up back on Island November of 2022. Did the research like I told you, realized I'm targeted, and I immediately started making videos. That was when the video started. 2 years into the targeting. It wasn't a right away thing, and I don't have a history of making scandalous, messy videos telling my business. I'm a private person. It takes the most to get info out of me. My sisters used to joke about that because they openly tell me all their business. And I trust them and I love them. They're my sisters. And I tell them when I'm ready stuff that I want to tell them. But a lot of the times I keep things private until I'm ready to share info. I'm a very private, quiet type of person. Nobody ever knew who I was dating until I became targeted. Nobody knew. I never used to put stuff on social media. Ever. You see them slamming up the roof and stuff? It's just so weird. because they know it's true. Like, I never used to post anything. Nobody knew about my relationship. I didn't post stuff on social media as it pertains to my personal life. All you could see on my social media prior to my targeting was, okay, she works for Broward County Public Schools. She's a substitute teacher. Okay, she goes to school at Florida Memorial University. Okay, she just graduated. Like, these are the things, like, accomplishments is what I would post. You never knew what was going on in my personal life for real. Never. It wasn't until I became targeted and I realized, wait a minute, I can't get away from this thing. I actually tried to relocate and it followed me, and now I had reactions, and now they're punishing me for the reactions? I'm something called a target? That was when I sat there and I started making videos, and then they start, again, the gaslighting thing where it's the cause now. This is the cause of what you keep making videos. No, the videos were an effect to what you were doing to me and me defending myself and refuting certain things. It's this weird thing they're doing where they're taking these egregious reactions, whether it be videos for me, videos of me defending myself, or nasty reactions like what I had in Florida where I was sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. You're taking these reactions, reactive abuse, the effect, and you're making it the cause. The cause was you doing what you did because I sent a text message. Anyways, so nonetheless, y'all, so that's when the video started. It was when I got back on island and I learned I was a target. That was when the video started. And that was the start of, I don't know, I guess you could say this YouTube journey. So fast forward now, y'all. You know, I eventually started going to the gym at the beginning of 2024. You know, at the end of 2024, this incident with a personal trainer that I had been working out around for a whole year happened. When one of the guys that I had been working out around, the other personal trainer, his name started popping in my head. Because I know I went off on a tangent, y'all. I'm getting back on track now. I told the story already. I'm not about to tell it again. I've told it in multiple videos, and then I kind of summarized it in the last video as well. I told the story again in the last video, and I made good points about the situation. I'm not telling the story again in this video, y'all. Like I said, this is part 2 to the last video. So you should check out the last video before you check this one out. But anyway, when the name started popping in my head, the guy started doing all these offensive things. Like, for a whole month, just horrible, like, humiliating gang stalking activity. He hadn't been doing it before. And then insinuating that I was garbage and stuff. Like, just mean, horrible stuff. I'm like, what the hell is his problem? So anyway, y'all, eventually I reacted. Again, reactive abuse. After a month of him doing whatever. With the neural monitoring, they can hear my thoughts. I thought some nasty stuff about him. Like, some real mean stuff. I can be a bitch. I'm good with my words, and my words can be cutting, and I'm dealing with this high intense situation, and then it seems like you're attacking me for a whole month because a name started popping in my head. And again, if you listen to the last video, you'll hear why I'm saying that, y'all. So I just started to, think mean stuff. I didn't say anything, but with the neural monitoring, they can hear your thoughts, so it's as good as you saying it out loud. There was a day where I just had enough of the shit he was doing, and I just started thinking some really mean stuff. And it's like he got embarrassed. He left the gym. I didn't see him for like a good week or 2. And then he started coming back again. But anyways, y'all, so that was the start of the decline as far as that part of that element of the targeting goes. That was where the thirsty was inserted, and they were pushing this narrative of me being the thirsty, vapid female. And then they were purposely trying to paint and perpetuate this narrative of me being this unwanted, vapid thing. And so they use tactics to, like, it's almost like this manipulative thing where they're using these different tactics to push the false narrative. And then if you listen to the last video, I show his actions versus mine. I'm like, I'm not the one that was acting thirsty. If you look up the Urban Dictionary definition of thirsty, y'all, because the Urban Dictionary definition of thirsty is seeking someone's attention. You're seeking attention, right? That's what thirsty is. So obviously you have the literal definition, you're thirsty, you want water, and then you have the figurative Urban Dictionary definition, you're seeking attention. If you look at his actions versus mine, I wasn't the one acting thirsty. They were doing all kinds of stuff with his girlfriend, and in fact, he was following me around the gym with the girlfriend. And then when I didn't realize that was his girlfriend, he actually went as far as to block my workout. I'm there squatting on the Smith machine, not even studying really what's going on with this man. He blocked my workout with the girl and starts blowing kisses at her. Wasn't that to get my attention? I still didn't have an adverse reaction. Instead, in my head, I was like, okay, I'm an understanding person. This is because I humiliated him. I understand. Even though he did it, whatever he did for a whole month first. And it was a reaction. I'm like, okay, that's why he's doing that, whatever. I didn't say mean stuff. I didn't think anything nasty. That reaction wasn't good enough. Then they set up this thing with his friends in the back room of the old gym where they're doing directed combo while the girl is there and doing this thing where like they're comparing the two of us and tearing me down subliminally. Wasn't that to get my attention? I wasn't the one doing stuff. So how are you calling me thirsty? It makes no sense. Now I'm in a whole new gym. I keep asking you, please leave me alone. I'm done with the situation. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. If you are still targeting me and it doesn't make sense why you're doing it, but nonetheless, if you are still targeting me, focus on the important things, like the offensive things I shared. Okay, let's focus on that, even though that's hypocrisy too, because you're using the guys who created the content as gang stalkers. Content I shared 4 years ago that I've already apologized for, that you keep claiming you're going to give me a second chance for. But anyway, okay, whatever, we're going with that. At least focus on that, important things. Why are you focusing on a man from the old gym that attacked me for a month? Whatever the reason was, I don't care anymore. I'm not trying to argue the semantics, whatever it was. Why is that the focal point of the targeting? What does that have to do with the targeting? And then you're putting his friends on top of me. You're from the old gym. It's like they're slowly migrating over to the new gym. You're perpetuating this narrative of thirst. Every day you're hinting that he doesn't like me or he doesn't want me. Why are you doing that? I'm not saying he liked me. I'm in a whole new gym. You're following me. He don't like you. What? So I'm like, in the last video, I was like, it's like guilt. It's like, you feel like it looked like he liked me or he did like me. Whatever. What is it? Why are you still telling me that? And when I said that, they start making noises. They started revving by and chirping like what I'm saying is true. So because their perception was, or it looked like he might have liked me, I have to suffer now. And that has to be a main part of the targeting now. This thirsty thing and the he don't want you thing, even though I'm not saying he wants me. They went as far as to try to humiliate me about 2 weeks ago. I'm in the car. I'm already dealing with all this fucking shit with the targeting. I don't care about what's going on with this man. I'm in the car, driving, minding my business with the technology. All of a sudden, they send something about, he don't like you, you gorilla. Calling me a gorilla. I'm like, what are you coming for me aggressively for and telling me he doesn't like me still? And it's years later and I'm in a new gym. I could see if I were in the video saying, oh, he liked me so bad. And I'm not doing that. I keep begging them to leave me alone. It's just weird. And then they have his friends pulling up on me. I remember I went to the gas station. I didn't feel like dealing with gang stalking. I stood outside the gas station, outside the window. There's this weird smell coming in here, y'all. I stood outside the window. You know, sometimes you can pay through the window outside and not have to go inside. I didn't feel like going inside. I didn't feel like dealing with gang stalking, y'all. It had been another day full of gang stalking. While I'm paying through the front of the window, right, his friend, one of the friends, they're pushing in the new gym now, this bald guy. Now, his being bald doesn't matter. I'm not coming for bald heads. I don't have a problem with bald heads. I'm just saying. I'm just describing him. He comes, walks up behind me at the outside window. People don't usually walk up to that window. They usually go inside the gas station. He walks up close behind me, making conversation. Did you get a good win? Or whatever it was. I think I was turning in a lottery ticket where I had won like $20. Did you win anything big? Did you win any big money? Like, just weird stuff, man. They're putting his friends right on top of me. I went to the garbage the other day. This is the next one that had a problem with me from the old gym. One of his other friends pulls up in a yellow car, comes out with a purple shirt on, and throwing away a green bag. And the way he flew out the car, he was so anxious, y'all. He looked like he had been waiting his whole life to do that. I simply went to the freaking garbage, to the dump, to throw out some garbage that was in my car. His friends are pulling up on me. Like, why are you still doing that? Why is this still a part of the targeting? Why is this and it's a focal point. And then they're utilizing white people in this manipulative way too to push the narrative that it's all correlated. Like he did it because of the offensive stuff I shared about white people. That makes no sense. Please listen to the last video. Why didn't he do that as soon as I got in the gym then? Why would he do it at the end of the year after we had been working out in proximity for a whole year as soon as this guy's name innocently starts popping in my head? What does the girlfriend inserted have to do with that? What was the insertion of putting the girlfriend on top of me? What does that have to do with white people? Either way, I don't care. Like I said, I don't care why he did it, you know. At this point, I don't care. I just keep saying, leave me alone and stop making that the focal point of the targeting. Stop calling me thirsty because that's inaccurate. I did not act thirsty in the situation. I even had his number and I didn't use it. I used it simply just to text him. He said, asked me to go on a hike, y'all. Somewhere in the process of us working out together, he said they were going on a hike in a week. On the weekend, he said, I'll give you my number, whatever. And you just let me know if you want to go on the hike. I said, okay, I took his number. I never used the man's number. I used it a week later, the day of the hike, just to let him, I made some excuse for why I wasn't going to the hike. After that, the number sat in my phone, y'all, until the phone went bad. I can see if I were thirsty, like, oh, he gave me his number. And you see me immediately texting him and trying to go on the hike with him. Or after the hike happened, the hike situation, if you saw me utilizing the number, I had his number. I could have called him. I could have sent a text. I'm capable. I've texted before. I've called before when I was interested. I didn't use the number. It sat there. Apparently, he sent me a friend request on Facebook. If you check out the last video, you'll see he's one of my followers. I never added him. I didn't even realize he sent the friend request. I did not act thirsty in the situation. It's just like this false narrative and perpetuation of whatever as some sort of like revenge because of how the situation looked. Who cares? Grow up. So anyways, y'all. So that's why they're doing what they're doing. And it's like this aggressive campaign to make it seem like I'm unwanted. And they have even done things. I now realize they're seeing through my eyes. With the technology, y'all, they can actually see through your eyes. There have been moments where I've been out and I've had men like look at me and they dive the bird down. I've talked about this in prior videos. Like they'll look at me like a quick glance and the bird will immediately dive down the bird drone. I'm like, how are they seeing this? I used to make comments like, how are they seeing this? I'm like, damn, it's like surround sound vision. Not surround sound, surround vision. Like they're seeing, from every angle with these birds, because remember, they're using birds and insects, the drones, and they're everywhere. So I'm like, okay, they're just seeing from every angle. That has to be what it is. I'm not realizing they're seeing through my eyes. So as I'm seeing the man look at me, they're seeing it too. I'm like, that's how they were seeing it and diving the bird anytime. It was ridiculous, y'all. Sometimes the person is innocently glancing up, they're diving the bird down. Then there was this time at an intersection where the guy actually really looked in my car at me. They dived the bird down, y'all. They cut that shit down in the air, cut it down. There was a guy outside of my gym that works for the bus company. They've tried to utilize him since then, y'all. But anyways, he was just making innocent conversation with me. He went to high school with me. This is before things really started blowing up with the man from the gym. He didn't try to hit on me. He didn't ask me for my number. We are friends on Facebook. That's as far as that went. He didn't even write me on Facebook. He did not try to contact me. We were having innocent conversation, just kind of talking about high school and playing basketball in high school and who was good players from who wasn't good players and just regular innocent convo. Do you know they started revving by like crazy and glaring at him? They were glaring at him and glaring at me. I was just like, what the fuck? I realized like this is really like an isolation campaign. And then pretending like don't want when you know the tactics you're using. Look at them chirping outside of the window. Even when I was a correction officer right here in the facility, y'all. That's not a big deal. You have to understand inmates, detainees, the men, they're men. So they have, whatever going on. And they're stuck in the facility where they're not really getting to see females like that. Unless they have relationships outside of the facility. But if not, you're in there. You don't really you're seeing a bunch of men. That's what you're seeing, men. And then you see the correctional officer females. So it's like the same females every day. And they're wearing heavy, baggy clothing. So if something new comes on the block, yeah, you're going to look. Especially if it looks okay. So anyway, I was getting checked out when I first started working here at the facility. It was like this big hype inside there. Eventually, they started this campaign, this don't want campaign. If you listen to my prior videos, y'all, you'll hear about it. This was on camera, y'all. All of this was televised. All of this was on camera. Eventually, they started moving weird with me in there. It's like they got back to them and told them whatever. Because I noticed the guy started moving weird with me. So I guess they were alerted to whatever with the targeting of the offensive stuff I've shared, whatever. They all started moving weird with me. But initially, when I first got in there, it was like this big hype and frenzy. Immediately, they got on it, y'all. With this don't want stuff, and it got in the dudes' heads, too. Not like I was trying to start a relationship with any of them. I was a correctional officer. Of course, I would keep it professional, but I'm just trying to tell you, even there. So anyways, y'all, so now with the Facebook, if it looks like I'm getting a lot of likes or a lot of views, they don't like that. And so immediately they start hitting my head with the energy weapon when these things start happening, or they start freezing my internet, etc. And that's what's happened recently. I noticed I put up this post about a month ago, and it caused like this thing with the program where immediately they've already been doing stuff in the new gym, y'all, and still pushing stuff as it pertains to this man from the old gym. But they were using other tactics, like they were using elderly gang stalkers and making them wear yellow, and all still trying to tie stuff back to this man from the gym. It doesn't make sense, but whatever. And every now and then I'll see like a guy around the place, but not the way they started doing it after I put that picture up a month ago, y'all. They really aggressively started hardcore pushing the thirsty thing and trying to, perpetuate this narrative of don't want. After I put up these pics in a short black pants with a green shirt on, as a reaction to, again, stuff that they were doing. Because they kept sending stuff with the technology, subliminal messaging, that I was doing something, like I was trying to be seductive, or I was trying to, it was weird. They said she's trying to be sexy, or I'm like, I'm trying to be sexy. I said I'm wearing old leggings, the same old leggings I purchased about a year ago. I'm wearing the same t-shirts on recycle. Like, this is not me of old. Me of old used to really like to dress. I don't care now. I barely have clothes, y'all. I have my workout clothes. I have home clothes. I have like 1 or 2 outfits that I can wear out. I used to have like endless nice outfits, y'all. When I was teaching, I had different dresses for every day of the week, different heels for every day of the week. My nails were done. The teachers used to compliment me on my outfits and tell me I had nice dresses. I don't have any of that stuff. I gave it away when I tried to relocate off island. What I was talking about a little while ago, y'all, in 2022. After the thing followed me and I realized I was being stalked everywhere, I didn't want to be traveling with all those clothes. So I remember stopping at a Goodwill in Tennessee and giving away all my clothes. I gave all my clothes away, with the exception of a few outfits. I needed stuff to wear. I barely have anything now, y'all. This sending stuff with the technology that I'm trying to be seductive because I'm working out, doing something I've done my whole life. I don't have anything going for myself. Only now recently, if y'all check out my videos, you'll see that it seems like they're going to let me teach again. We'll see what happens. I'm praying for the best. This has happened in the past and it didn't work out, but this is the furthest that I have gotten thus far. It's to the point where I'm in the process of getting recertified. I've paid for it. I was given an interview with the Department of Education. Check out this video, y'all, that says English teacher as the thumbnail, to hear about that from a month ago. So it seems like they're going to let me teach again if God spares my life. But really, for the most part, for the last few years, I haven't had much going on. I do security at night. And during the daytime, my days are empty and I'm dealing with targeting and being stared at 24/7. So I hopped into an old hobby, which is working out. Instead of laying around wasting away, depressed, I decided to hop in the gym and take care of myself and take care of my health. It's like a countermeasure to the high cortisol levels from stress and from being harassed and antagonized all day. A countermeasure to energy weapon attacks. I told you in 2023 I was hit with radiation, right? I strongly suspected I was hit with radiation, y'all. I even had the black circles around my eyes. I lost weight. I felt the burning sensation. I was throwing up. I knew when they were using it on me. Eventually, they stopped using it on me, especially when I started making these videos and defending myself. Thank the Most High. But they still use energy weapons on me, y'all. They use the Havana syndrome energy weapon. I forget what it's called. I think it's called not the Frey effect. I don't know what it's called, y'all. I can't remember. But it's this energy weapon that makes your head feel like this hum. And your ears start to pop, and it can make your chest feel heavy and make you feel shortness of breath and make you have difficulty swallowing. Sorry, y'all, the AC's just started kicking in and it's making my throat scratch. Speaking of stuff. Make you have difficulty swallowing, dysphagia. They've been hitting me with it so hard these last few months nonstop. It's to the point where I'm having difficulty swallowing again. Similar to what was happening at the end of 2023. And it's not going away. It's like this difficulty swallowing, especially if I'm tired. And so I'm eating and I'm having to eat carefully. I'm having to drink a lot of liquids while I'm eating or I could choke. Like, these are physical effects, real physical effects that I'm dealing with from targeting. I have fibroids. I have a hormonal imbalance. My hair was dropping out. It only now recently started growing back since I've changed my diet and I've locked in on eating healthy and getting back to my old ways, the way I used to eat, instead of focusing on gaining weight and whey protein and unhealthy shit to gain weight. I've cut out most of the red meat and I'm mainly just eating like wild caught fish, like wild caught tuna or wild caught salmon, a lot of broccoli for the sulforaphane, a lot of fruits like blueberries, apples, bananas, and just trying to be healthier, y'all. And yeah, I've even adapted to plant-based protein liquid, and that can be dangerous too. There's a lot of heavy metal toxins in the vegan protein powders and the vegan protein shakes. So you have to make sure it's third-party tested. So I found I was fortunate enough to find a third-party tested, organic, non-GMO, kosher vegan protein shake. So that's what I've been drinking. Tastes terrible. It makes my farts smell horrible, but it's healthy. So I'm doing a lot better. My hair has started growing back, y'all. And, I'm planning to do a long juice fast. I did one already. That's how I reversed the injury I got a few months ago in the new gym. If you've been keeping up with my videos, y'all know what I'm talking about. If not, scroll back and check out my videos, y'all, and you'll hear about it. Anyway, that was how I reversed my injury. And that was really when I made the change, was when I got injured a few months ago. At this point now, it's more than a few months ago. Time is flying, y'all. It's crazy how time is flying. The injury happened, 4 months ago. Okay, so it wasn't that long ago. 4 months ago. You can see health scare. That's the thumbnail, y'all. Check out that video if you want to hear about the injury that I healed naturally with fasting, juicing, changing my diet, etc. But getting that injury is how I learned that I have fibroids. I have 2 fibroids and I have a hormonal imbalance. So that's why I was having difficulty with my hair. My hair was like broken and not growing, and I didn't understand why it wasn't growing. I cut it like 2 years ago, and typically when I cut my hair, it shoots out, y'all. It was not growing back, and they were bullying me about it with the targeting. Hair started growing out of my chin. All these little small signs that something hormonal was taking place. I knew it was a hormonal imbalance. A little pooch with my stomach, despite me working out adamantly. A little pudge around the stomach. All of these different things that point to insulin sensitivity and hormonal imbalance. So anyway, when I got the injury and I got the ultrasound, I found out I have two fibroids and I have a hormonal imbalance, y'all. So I've made some changes. I've changed my diet and stuff, and just really trying to be healthy. But that's the whole point of me working out. It's not to get attention. It's not me being thirsty when I'm wearing old raggy workout clothes, and some of the gang stalker females you're bringing into the gym are wearing nice outfits and actually trying to look cute for the cameras. I'm not doing that. I'm wearing the bare minimum, and I have made money since. I could have gotten cute workout clothes. I haven't done it. Sorry, y'all. It seems like cayenne pepper got in my eye. Oh, shit. I forgot that I had some on my hand from my pouch. Damn, and I started rubbing my eye, and I just realized I was feeling like fire. Oh, my God. Can't believe I did that. Oh, my. Anyways, y'all. So nonetheless, though, they were, with the technology, sending subliminal messaging, hinting that I was trying to be sexy or trying to get attention or trying to seduce someone or trying to pick up a man or whatever they were doing. And then they kept putting, like, certain females on top of me as gang stalkers, like in this competitive kind of way, like girls that would come around dressed cute or whatever. I guess girls that they felt would be competition for me, whatever it was in their head, whatever they put together in their mind, why they do what they do. And I'm just snickering at it all. I'm like, what are you talking about? So again, they kept doing it, y'all. Like for a whole week aggressively, they were doing that. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of this. I said, I'm really going to try to be cute now. I didn't even really try because this still was basic, this outfit. I used to dress much nicer back in the day. All I really did was buy a short pom-pom shorts, y'all. And that's what they say in the islands, a pom-pom shorts. It just means like a pants that's so short that it's, it's kind of a vulgar term. I'm not really going to explain it to you. If you know, you know, right? But a little short pants. You can see it in the thumbnail. The little black pants I bought. I purposely went out and purchased that. And then I purchased a shirt, a tight green shirt, since they were using green on me. And I styled my hair in a side swoop. And I actually tried a little bit. Just a little bit. And I took pictures. I realized my legs were actually looking fuller. I was like, okay, all right, my legs are coming in good. Took some pictures in the new gym. And I posted it to Facebook. And I got a lot of views and a lot of likes. You know, similar to the type of views and likes I used to get before the thing with the man in the gym happened, because I hit when that thing with him happened. You know, he knows a lot of people and I'm already targeted. So it's just a subjective thing where you can be right in a situation and it doesn't matter. You're instantly villainized and vilified. And even those that don't necessarily think you're wrong, it's like this group bullying type thing. They're still going to just go with the wave. They're not going to go against the grain. So anyways, I noticed what the Facebook, I was not getting as many views or likes on my stuff after the thing with the man in the gym happened. Because then instantly after it happened, like I told y'all, tactics were being used. Him bringing his girlfriend around me and putting his girlfriend basically on top of me. His friends getting involved in the targeting and doing bullying tactics, bringing water around me and acting like they're guzzling the water and just all this bullshit in the old gym. So I started to react back, you know, especially since I know he started with me first. I'm like, what the hell? So I remember I was thinking real mean, nasty things about these guys and not backing down. And so it was just like this perception that I'm a bitch. Like, instead of looking at what's causing the reaction, it was just I'm a bitch. And so it just turned into this thing where, you know, a lot of the guys here on island had it in for me. And there was already this pre-existing thing with this other guy. If you listen to my full story, you'll know what I'm talking about, y'all. The cyber guy is what I call him. I don't want to go into talking about him. I kind of started talking about him in a video 2 days ago. Because some manipulative gaslighting, false shit they were sending with the technology about that situation. And so I started talking about it, and I mentioned his son. And that created some sort of backlash on island. And I did that in the past too, with a video that I took down. This video I didn't post. I ended up just deleting it, but still I mentioned it because they were sending a bunch of stupid shit with the technology as usual, fake manipulative stuff that's not true. And so I started talking about stuff, and, you know, I started getting backlash again recently. But anyway, nonetheless though, not to go off on a tangent, there was this pre-existing thing with that guy. And all these guys know each other. It's a small community. So there's already this thing with me and this perception of me. And then this thing happens with the guy in the gym, and then I start, you know, having these bitchy reactions or these mean thoughts about his friends in reaction to what his friends were doing. So it just started turning into this thing where I noticed the activity on my Facebook. All of this matters, y'all. It's so irrelevant, right? Facebook likes and requests and, you know, it's like this stupid, trivial, vain thing, but it's not, though. Just so you, hold on, y'all, just so you can see. I just saw something. Oh, it disappeared. Anyway, they were saying something about my reach increasing. Anyway, so this, excuse me, y'all, I'm sorry, I'm tired. So, like, this trivial, immature thing, vain thing with the Facebook, but it's not, because it's all about perception. And they want to paint this perception and this narrative of me being this unwanted, thirsty female. Especially since things with that situation with that guy from the old gym didn't look the way they wanted it to look. They don't like how it looked. You know, they feel like it looked like he liked me or whatever it is. That's why they're still torturing me about the situation and screaming he doesn't like me every day, even though I'm not saying he does. So anyways, if I put up a nice picture and it gets views and it gets likes, then that proves that I'm not not necessarily that you like me. Let me not say that. Oh, God. Before the people that like my stuff end up feeling like they have to gang stalk me. I'm not saying just because you like a picture or you viewed my video, you want me and you like me. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying it's not the narrative they're trying to paint it. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not this narrative of this vapid, thirsty, unwanted female. That's all I'm saying. Right? I'm still getting likes and views and traction on my social media. So anyways, after the thing with the man in the gym happened, though, like, I noticed directly after, my views and my likes went down. For instance, I'll show you an example. This video was posted in 2024 before the thing with him happened, right? This picture. By the way, this picture is a throwback. It's an old picture. So you can see that it says memories. It was in my memories. You can see it's from March 1st, 2022. So that was before the targeting went viral. In fact, that was shortly before I tried to relocate off island. So I was targeted then, y'all, but that was before it went viral. Anyway, in 2024, it popped up in my memories. You know how that happens with Facebook if you're familiar. And I decided to share it on my story. You can see I got 352 views and a lot of likes. I try not to, stay on people's names because people aren't trying to associate with me like that. And I noticed, like, some guys, like, if it looks like a certain way, then they feel like they have to gang stalk and stuff. I don't feel like dealing with that. There was more, for some reason, it's cutting off there, y'all. But you can see I got a lot of likes and views, right? the views cut in half. And the likes cut in half after what happened with this man in the gym. I kid you not. This is what my views started looking like 144, which is not bad. But that's the drastic difference from 352. That's a whole 200 view drop. The likes weren't as much. I was still getting likes, but not as much. They're cutting it off because these are old stories, y'all. They're cutting it off for some reason. It's like cutting off. It's more likes than that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You can see how things dropped, right? Look at this one.
It's the energy.
98 views. You know what I'm saying? Like, this one got a lot of views. This was a throwback. This was after the thing that happened with the man in the gym. But I think it's because I'm like this little short t-shirt on. I think people couldn't help but click on it, because it's just one of those things like, wait, what's going on there? And so you click on it. So this one got like a lot of views. This one got 200 and change views. This is an old video, y'all, from my early 20s. Just so you can see how... Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over it while the video's playing. I have to remember that when I'm on the story, it's going to be the videos, the music is going to be playing while I'm talking. So I didn't mean to for that, y'all. But this was after the incident with the man in the gym. This got a decent amount of views and likes, but I think it's just because what I'm wearing, to be honest with you. But this is from my early 20s, y'all. So you can see what I mean when I try to, I know this is off topic, but when I try to explain to you all that I have a fast metabolism and I have a slender build, and so it takes more effort for me to gain weight and muscle mass, etc. I'm not an ectomorph. There are 3 different body types. You have the ectomorph, which is like this really skinny person that has trouble gaining muscle, and they have to, adapt a certain diet and a certain workout routine to build muscle. But when they get it together, they have a really aesthetically pleasing physique. I'm not that body type, but I have that body type mixed in. You can have a mix of body types, y'all. You have the mesomorph, which is the medium body type, where you have like the muscular build and you can gain weight easily or lose weight easily. I have the mesomorph body type mixed with the ectomorph body type. And this video is what shows it clearly. Because back then I was active too, y'all, but not the way I am now. Not hardcore weightlifting and, eating protein. And I was jogging back then and eating healthy. So this is more so my natural body weight. I need to blow my nose. This is more so my natural body weight, y'all.
This that started from the bottom. This that motivation. This that opportunity. Me in preparation. All I know is win. Feel like Gary Payton. This that process.
Yeah.
This that in the making. This that started from the bottom. This that motivation.
Okay.
Win. All I know is win. I learned from my losses. I won't do that.
Okay, so y'all can see how skinny I was, right? Versus what's happening now. Now that you're going to see the drastic difference as I go through these videos. Now, first of all, I'm a woman now. I'm in my 30s. But also I've been weightlifting. So back then I was active. I was going to the gym. But it wasn't the type of weightlifting that I'm doing now. I was more so into cardio back then. Jogging and light workouts, light weights. And I was eating healthy and, a very light diet. It was almost vegan. I was eating fish and stuff, but it was almost vegan. Everything was organic and natural back then. But anyway, you can see the views, not to go off on a tangent. This is not about showing my body. It's about showing you the views and how things changed after what happened with the man in the gym. So this was one of those videos that got a lot of views and a lot of likes. And I think, again, it's just because of what I was wearing. But for the most part, the videos and the views, the likes and the views dropped in half after what happened with him. So that's to tell you, things took a hit as far as my reputation goes, even though he started with me first and I was just reacting. But it's subjectivity. I already have this bad rep. I'm targeted. And then, like I said, there's also this pre-existing thing with the cyber guy.
You are what God imagined.
No, this one, I didn't put this one on my timeline, y'all. With the highlights, you have the stories, right? So you can post a story to your Facebook, and then you can choose if you're going to put it in your highlights or not. So your highlights is this category here on your page, y'all. So you can create different albums with highlights. So like I have an album, a highlight album for gym, where I have stories that I've posted of me in the gym. I have a highlight album of degrees where I have the different degrees. I didn't mean to click on it. My different degrees. I have a throwback one. I have one where I cook. And then I have one that says me. And in that one I have poetry, and then I have pictures of myself, selfies, whatever. Videos too. So you can post a story to your timeline, right? Like, you know how over here the stories show up? I don't need to tell you if you have Facebook, but not everyone has Facebook. So you can post a story, right? And then eventually the story disappears after 24 hours if you want, you can put it in your highlight album and the story never disappears. So anytime somebody wants to see the story, they can click on your highlight album and see that story. That's why I have all these stories up, right? So that story that I was showing you just now that had like 60 views, that was never up on my main profile. You can also add stories to the highlight without ever posting it to your main timeline. And so the only reason it has views is because people obviously have been going through my albums. Anyway, so that one doesn't really count the 60 views, right? But, or this one, 37 views, 48 views, 47 views. This one was on the main profile. You can see 117 views, right? So I get likes and stuff, and I get views, but it dropped in half, y'all. It dropped in half from what it was before the thing with this man happened. Like, there are those random bursts of videos like that one I showed you from my early 20s where I would get a lot of views. But for the most part, the views dropped like in half, and the likes after what was happening in that freaking gym. So anyways, y'all, all of this was on my main timeline, right? That got 105 views. This one got 153 views. This one got 81 views. This one got 102 views. Then there was this, right? So this is what caused the issue. So after they kept doing what they were doing, this was from a month ago. Y'all have seen these pictures on my YouTube. Remember I told you I did a workout update on my YouTube. Right here, this is the video I put up a month ago where I showed those same pictures. If you check out the video, it's 25 minutes long, and I called it a workout update because my legs are looking fuller. I've been working out at this point now for a year and change. I've been consistent with the diet. Well, off and on with the diet, y'all, but trying to, kind of consistent. But I've been consistent with the working out, though. That's where I have never faltered. The diet, off and on, I've been making sure to take protein. But it fluctuates. I'm not going to lie, it fluctuates. But I've been active and consistent with my workouts. And so I started seeing results. But I didn't really realize what was going on because I don't wear short pants. I'm always covered. This is why I don't understand why they're calling me thirsty. I'm wearing old leggings, old t-shirts. You're calling me thirsty because I'm working out? Anyway, y'all, so they kept pushing the narrative of me trying to get attention and me trying to seduce and do this and that and the third. And so I purposely went out, and they kept putting these girls on top of me too, like as supposed to be competition. Some of these girls they're using, I'm like, okay, I'm just like, okay, scratching my head, but whatever, okay. And then some of them, I'm like, okay, I can see that this person is actually beautiful, but okay, why are you putting them on top of me? What is this about? It's weird. Wait, nonetheless. So I went and I purchased a short pants. So I got tired of the stupidness in the new gym with them. And it's not specifically the new gym. The new gym is participating. Everyone does wherever you go. It's a gridlock system. So no matter what gym I go to or where I go, they're going to participate. Right? So the thing has moved to the new gym. And they're still pushing stuff about this man from the old gym for whatever reasons they're really doing it for. But anyway, they kept pushing this thing like I was trying to get attention and I was doing this and that. I'm like, I'm wearing leggings, old leggings and old t-shirts. I'm like, okay, I got you. I went to the store and I bought a short pants. And I also bought a new t-shirt, a green t-shirt. And then I did my hair in a side swoop. And I went in the new gym and I went in the bathroom and I took these pictures. And I posted it to Facebook and it blew up, y'all. Like I got the type of views I was getting before the incident with the man in the old gym. I got a lot of views and I got a lot of likes. I'm not going to go through it right now, right? I don't want to put people's names on blast. You can see, like I said, what's going on. Got quite a bit of views. I'm trying to go quick. Put people's names on blast. And then next, they're hopping in my inbox doing gang stalking activity. It's not a big deal if you liked my thing. Who cares? Anyways, y'all. So that's what happened, right? And there was this one. This one I put up right after the last one. So I didn't get 93 views. And then I put this one up a few days later. This one got almost 400 views, y'all. And I got a lot of likes, right? Oh my God, y'all. After this happened, immediately they started doing activity with my Facebook. I started noticing these gang stalking friend requests coming through. Like actively every day. Like these gang stalking in between the regular friend requests. Like this influx of gang stalking friend requests. And then I also noticed that every time I'm going onto Facebook, they're either beaming my head with the energy weapon or they're taking my internet away. They're freezing the internet. So I remember going off about it. And then I go to the new gym and they actively started putting dudes on top of me, similar to what they were doing in the old gym. I'm pushing the thirsty narrative. But right before I put the short pants on, the tactic they were using was putting elderly people on me with the yellow, coming for my self-esteem and insulting me. consistently insulting me, right? And making it seem like I was trying to get attention and trying to be thirsty and like I was trying to seduce somebody. And they were putting females on top of me. So this one day I got fed up. This one day they really were aggressively putting like girls on top of me, and with the technology saying she kept trying to do too much and get attention, and she was trying to seduce. And I'm like, what? I said do too much because I'm going to the gym and working out. I can't help it if you're watching me with the cameras. I'm wearing leggings and old t-shirts, old leggings. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna do too much now. And so I went and I purposely purchased because I know why they're doing what they're doing. Listen to the last video, y'all. I know what this aggressive attack on my self-esteem is and trying to push this narrative of thirst and don't want. I know what it's about. And then they admitted it too. It's because of the way things ended with that man from the gym and it looking like whatever it looked like. So anyways, y'all, I purposely now went and bought a short pants. I did my hair in like a side swoop and I actually tried to be cute. And I tried to get attention. And I posted the videos and they blew up. And I really got attention. I really got likes and views and stuff. Immediately the tactics started. The weird friend requests started coming through on my Facebook. I'm going into the new gym. They're putting dudes on top of me. They were already kind of migrating. I noticed some activity. Like one or two of his old friends I had popped up in the new gym. But aggressively after these pictures, y'all. Pushing some of his friends from the old gym into the new gym. Also just random dudes they're hiring off the street and giving money to, guys that need a paycheck, I guess. Putting them on top of me and making them sip water and stuff. That they started to aggressively do what they were already doing before I posted the pictures. But it started to aggressively be this thing. So that was when I made the last video, y'all. You know, shortly after that I made, you know, this video 8 days ago. Where I made the points of why I think they're doing what they're doing as it pertains to that specific part of the targeting that shouldn't even be really a relevant thing in the targeting. So after I made the video, y'all, they were insinuating or hinting that they were going to stop with that element of the targeting. And I noticed I went to the gym and I saw a little activity as it pertains to that specific part of the targeting. But it was mostly just some of the other things, like pushing the offensive things I shared, which you don't need to push. I've already apologized. I explained why I did it. I took accountability. I apologized. Are you giving the second chance or not? Anyway, nonetheless, at least you're pushing relevant things now. You're not pushing this revenge thing for whatever happened with this man who's in the grand scheme of things irrelevant to the targeting. You're not pushing that anymore. Or so it seemed. Right for a couple days after I made this video, they stopped. Then randomly in my newsfeed, y'all, this app pops up. While I'm on my newsfeed on Facebook, this app pops up and it says, you know, basically like this AI app where it will take your real picture and it will put any hairstyle that you want on you so you can see what the hairstyle will look like in real time. And I saw them using an example of it on this guy for the ad and I was like, oh my God, it looks real. I was like, this looks like a real picture of him, but you know, the hairstyle is there. So I was like, I gotta try this. I was like, I doubt it's gonna look that realistic. You know, I don't know why I would doubt it knowing the kind of advancements with the technology that they have with the shadow networking and stuff. I don't know why I doubted it. Anyway, I downloaded the app, y'all. And I used those same pictures that went viral that caused all the hoopla, right? And I purposely picked like this long curly black hair because I know that looks good on me. There's a hairstyle that my sister did for my 32nd birthday. Hold on, y'all. Sorry, I'm going down my news feed, y'all, to get to the pictures. And this is a picture, by the way, of the old church. That when my sisters and I were in the old church. That's my nieces. That's my two sisters. My younger sister in the middle. My older sister in the green on the left. And on the right is a friend of ours from the old church. That's me in the white shirt with the golden skirt. So y'all can see an unfiltered, real picture of my siblings and I in the old church. But you can see we were Hebrew, all of us. And there was no negative energy. Anyway, y'all. Picture of my older sister and I. We were close. We were very close before the incident occurred. Grew up together. Tight. Thick as thieves. And my younger sister, too. There's this weird kind of relationship we have now. I wouldn't even call it a relationship. Due to what was done with the targeting. It's a very strange relationship. And she's done some flaw stuff, too. I've done some flaw stuff, but it's really been just reactions to what she's done. But anyways, nonetheless, it's just this weird thing with my family members and I now. These are my siblings, my older sister, my younger sister, my brothers, my parents. Anyway, y'all, let me get to where I'm trying to go. Hair. So for my 32nd birthday, y'all, my sister had done this wig for me. She put this wig on me. And I've worn long hair in the past, long black hair, and I realized it looks good on me. Hold on, y'all, give me a minute. Oh, my knee. Sorry, y'all, my nose was stuffy, and I was trying not to have to get up and deal with it. I just kept hoping I could just like push it down and keep going, but I get like I sound nasally sometimes in these videos due to my sinuses, the sinus issues I have, especially when I'm in the booth. Oh my god, the AC messes with my nose, and a little while ago they were like putting some weird smell in here, you know, so sorry about that, y'all. Anyway, so you can see I look good with long black hair. These are authentic pictures, and my hair was really in that hairstyle, so that's a look. That's something that looks good. Anyway, so I took those same pictures in the green shirt that I took a month ago, y'all, that I showed you all. And what I did was I took that app, and they give you a 7-day free trial. It costs a lot of money, and I can understand why now. When I actually used it, I was like, oh my god, this thing is, you would swear that I had really had that hairstyle in my head. It looks so realistic. AI, it's so crazy how advanced things are. But anyway, I took those pictures, I got all the reaction, and I put the hairstyle on myself. I purposely picked the long black hair because I know it looks good on me. So the initial thing that I put up was this picture, y'all, for my profile picture. As you can see, it got a lot of likes and views. You see how nice that looks, right? And this is really how it looks, as you saw when I do this type of hairstyle. If I fix myself up, I wash my face. If I put on, you know, shade in my eyebrows, I put on a little lip liner. This hair in the picture, I had lipstick on, but typically I don't wear lipstick. Like I told you, I was purposely trying that day. You saw what my real hair looked like. I had the side part, the side swoop. I purposely put on lipstick that day and was trying to be cute because of what they were doing. But typically I don't wear lipstick, y'all. I put on lip liner, a little lip gloss, and I shade my eyebrows in. That's it. I don't wear foundation. I don't wear eyelashes, none of that. Anyway, so in this picture, I shaded in my eyebrows. I put on lipstick, and I didn't have this hairstyle. I had the side swoop, what you guys saw in the original pictures. Here now they put the app put the wig on me. I was like, oh god, I gotta get this wig. I was like, this is a look. I was like, this looks good. But anyway, so they put the wig on me, and I said, damn, this picture actually looks fire. I was like, I gotta post this. I was like, there's no way I'm not posting this. I was like, this is a nice picture. So I put it as my profile picture. The thing got a lot of likes and comments. After that, oh my god, they started, every time I'm looking at the picture, I'm just looking at the reactions because I'm getting more and more likes and comments on it. They kept hitting my head with the energy weapon. They kept freezing my internet. Again, I'm noticing manipulative stuff with the technology where these gang stalking friend requests are coming through. Like, kind of trying to interfere with what I have going on with my Facebook. I'm like, oh my god, this is what they're doing now? I'm like, my god. Like, how far is this going to go for you to whatever with this man? Because I know that's what it's tying back to. And I know they want to have this perception of me being this unwanted, vapid, thirsty female. So I'm like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I purposely, after that, there was another one. There was like a series of them I took, y'all, that came out nice. I only posted 2. So this one, you can see, is from 4 days ago. Not yesterday. It was, I think, day before yesterday. I posted this one that you see in my Me highlight album. I didn't post it as a picture. I posted it as a story. Oh my god, y'all. It got a lot of reactions and views. So you can see how nice that looks. I'm like, this hairstyle really looks fire, for real. So you can see it got a lot of reactions and views, y'all. Again, I'm not trying to put these people on blast. Some of these people are family members. Some of these people are friends I went to high school with, people I went to school with. And then some of them are just random people from the island. But you can see it got a lot of likes and views, right? It got a lot. So it's just crazy what happened. But anyway, so this thing blew up. I noticed after that happened again, like the freezing my internet and hitting my head with the energy weapon. They were just doing it yesterday morning at work when I was checking the thing, just checking my Facebook like most females do. I kept saying, damn, am I a prisoner? Because they don't even do this to the inmates or the detainees. The inmates and the detainees are allowed to have tablets, and they can go on Facebook, and they're not dealing with this shit being frozen up, and I am literally like a prisoner, even though I don't have shackles on. You hear them chirping, y'all? Anyway, so I'm going in the story. I'm looking at the story. I'm seeing it got views and likes. They're freezing the internet. The beam in my head with the energy weapon. I'm like, oh my God. So I purposely start acting cocky about it. And I keep going in the story and clicking on it and clicking on the views and stuff. And of course, it's not a good look. No, that looks corny. That looks corny. They do these things where it creates like this narcissistic kind of reactive reaction, and then it just looks bad. It's not a good look. It looks corny. Like you going in and you're, oh, like you never see come see. Like I'm used to getting likes and views, y'all. But again, it's just, I'm noticing what I'm getting from them. I'm noticing that they're hitting me with the energy weapon every time I click on it, and I know why. It's because you want to keep this narrative of me being this thirsty, vapid, unwanted female. So that's why I was purposely doing that. But y'all can see I've been getting like, this is nothing for me. This is still a low like count compared to what I used to get. This is another one that was a low like count, 92 likes. Like this is what I used to get, 525 likes, not a big deal. But I'm just saying, 237. These are all unfiltered natural pics, by the way, y'all. You can even see the blemishes in my skin. This was prior to the targeting going viral, but I was targeted in all of these pictures. I was targeted. Anyway, 237, 240, 240 likes, 218 likes, y'all. These were taken before I tried to relocate off island, before my targeting went viral. This one was taken before I tried to relocate off island, before the targeting went viral. This one was taken after the targeting went viral. This one was taken recently, as you know, y'all. But anyways, these two were taken after. This one was taken before the incident with the man in the gym happened, but I didn't post it on my profile. As you can see, it says throwback, right? I didn't post it on my profile until after the incident with the man from the gym. You can see it says July 17th, 2025. Excuse me, y'all, sorry. And then this is the pic I posted 4 days ago. So this is a decent amount of likes, though. It's not a lot compared to what I used to get. It's not a big deal. But it's a decent amount of like compared to what's been happening since the thing with the man in the gym. And then, like I said, the activity on my story. That's really what's really had them in a gear, is the activity on my story, y'all. So anyway, oh my God, they start doing more stuff in the gym. And more of his friends, you know, being put on top of me. They had one, like I told you, pull up on me. I don't know if I said this already. I think I did in this video. One pulled up on top of me just about a week ago. I went to the garbage. I'm simply just trying to throw garbage out of my car. I can't even go to the garbage without his friends pulling up on me. This one pulls up on top of me in a yellow car. He comes out looking anxious as ever. He was in the old gym. He used to do stuff, gang stock and stuff in the old gym. He looked like he was waiting his whole life for that moment to do that. Anyways, y'all. So it's just been these last few days, every time I check my Facebook and stuff, them freezing my internet and hitting my head with the energy weapon. So then today happens now. Well, technically yesterday. It's after 12. So this happened yesterday now, what I'm documenting in this video. A manipulative tactic. So I went to the gym, and then I took a drive to the west end of town, and I was on the west end of town, and I took a drive near the rainforest, and I parked up real quick because I wanted to update my workout routine. There were 3 things I wanted to change, and I didn't want to forget about it. So I remember parking up to do it. They immediately started taking the mosquito and biting my arm and biting my arm. I'm like, why are they physically assaulting me? What the hell is, just this aggressive stuff since this Facebook activity? So then as I'm reversing out, the tab for my Facebook was open. So I came out of my text. You know how you open up your tabs and you can come out of your tabs, you can exit out? My text message was open, so I exited out of the text message, pretend that was a text message, and this Facebook tab was open. So instead of exiting out, I clicked on it on purpose because I know they've been amping up with the aggressiveness since these photos. When I clicked on it, again, they were freezing my internet. So I remember just snickering about it and then just kind of reversing out of where I was at and heading home. As I get closer to home now, I turn into this road to hit the highway. I noticed I'm hearing like this weird sound. I had my earphones in, but I still could kind of hear like this dragging sound through the earphones. And I was feeling this weird sensation. So I was like, oh my God, don't tell me I have a flat. Immediately, I was just like petrified. And anytime something happens where it looks like something where I'll need help, I'm petrified because I know tactics can be used when this happens. I'm always petrified when things like that happen to me. Always. Typically if you're not targeted and, tactics aren't being used on you and you get a flat, it's not a big deal. But it's the fact that I'm on camera and they're doing these tactics, I get petrified when these things happen. So anyways, y'all, I come out and I realize I have a flat tire. So while I'm parked and I'm dealing with the flat tire, I'm not dealing with it like changing it. I mean, I'm just assessing the situation, trying to figure out if I can make it to the tire shop. The car cuts off. There's this thing with the car I'm borrowing right now. My Jeep went bad. If you've been checking out my videos, you'll know what happened with my Jeep, right? I don't have it anymore. The engine went bad. And that was due to targeting. I'm not going to go into the details about it. It's not a big deal. It kind of was at the time, but it's okay. The Jeep is no longer. So I'm using my parents' car, the spare car that they have. But it has this issue with the battery. I took the battery out of my old Jeep and the battery that was in the car went bad. So there was a different battery that was in the car, my brother's car battery, because his car was down too. So both of us didn't have a car. My Jeep went bad. His car was down. We were sharing the car. He put the battery for his car in the car. When his car got fixed, he took his battery. So I went and I took the battery out of my old Jeep and I put it in the car, but it doesn't fit the terminals good. I need my dad to really, or someone, to fix the terminals for me and really screw it in tight. And that hasn't been done yet. My dad did attempt to do it, but it's kind of like loose, and it's not loose, it's tight, but it's not secure around the battery terminal, so it's still slipping off. So it slips off, and I think due to it slipping off, the battery's not getting fully charged. So every time it slips off the terminal, I have to jump it. So I went and I purchased a jump starter, right? A $100 jump starter. So as I'm on the road going through my day, if the terminal slips off the battery and the car cuts off, I just reconnect it and then I jump it with my jump starter. So it cuts off. It cuts off while I'm looking at the tire and I'm like, oh boy. So I'm thinking I just got to jump start it and keep going about my way. I go to jump start the car. I notice it's not starting. I look, I realize the gas is on E. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I just put gas this morning. It's this thing where I need to start putting like half a tank, y'all. I keep doing this $10 here, $10 there type thing. And then doing all this driving and thinking that's going to be enough. And this is the second time within a week that the gas has run out on me. And that hasn't happened in a while. The last time it happened was, I want to say like maybe 2 months ago. And before that, it had been a while since it happened. But it's kind of just irresponsible on my part. I'm be real about that. It's irresponsibility on my part, just not paying attention to the gauge and feeling like I have enough gas to make it and, need to do better with that. So anyway, it cut off on me and I'm like, there's no way it's gas. I just put gas this morning, but it was gas. So I kept trying to jumpstart it and the jump starter is starting to die. Like the juice in the jump starter is dying because I'm pushing, trying to pull juice out of it and it's draining the juice out of the jump starter. And the reason it wasn't starting was because I needed gas. So eventually I had to sit there and just kind of call for help. I wasn't on the main road, y'all, but still it was a road that everybody knows, right? It was a road that heads to the DMV. So you turn off of the main road and you can hit this road to head to the DMV, or you can hit this road as a shortcut to the highway. But this road is also in a neighborhood. And it's like these close together houses. In fact, the houses are similar to the houses in the neighborhood I live in, where the houses are super close together. I was just like, oh my God. I was like, of all places, the DMV was right up the road. There's a whole parking lot I could have been in if I had made it down to the DMV. It cut off right in front of this lady's house and she was on full gang stalking mode. I was like, oh my God. I was like, how is my luck so bad? And for them to use the opportunity to do this gang stalking manipulative tactic where, oh, look, nobody's helping you. So push the narrative of thirsty, unwanted. That's immediately what they did. It's so predictable. I was like, oh my God, they've already been freaking out these last few days about the Facebook. They keep beaming my head with the energy weapon and freezing up my Facebook. Now this here happens. This is definitely the perfect opportunity to now try and push whatever. I was like, oh my God. So I'm just sitting there like feeling anxious about the fact. It's not like I want anyone to help me. I don't need help. And in fact, I typically prefer not. I prefer that I can deal with the situation on my own and not have to have anyone stop and help me. But it's like this pressure, like, oh my God, if no one helps me, then it's going to look this kind of way, like the unwanted, like what they immediately started doing it. So predictable. It's obvious that's not the case with what you've been doing with my Facebook. It's obvious. But anyway, nonetheless, whatever, right? And again, I'm not saying that the people that are liking my Facebook or viewing my stories want me. That's not what I'm saying. But it's not what they're trying to paint it as either. That's all I'm saying. So anyways, y'all, oh my God, I'm sitting there anxious and then, immediately the lady in the house, she couldn't wait to join the fun and start gang stalking because I'm stopped in front of her house. So I notice every time I'm plugging in the jump starter, I'm trying to get the thing started, I'm hearing noise campaigns coming out of her house. I was like, oh boy. So I sit down now in my car. I said, now I got to deal with this weird shit. I thought it. I didn't say it out loud, but remember my thoughts are projecting and they're hearing my thoughts in real time with the neural monitoring technology. So I sit in my car and I make some phone calls and eventually I get through to someone in my close circle and, they're on their way to help me. So while I'm sitting waiting, the lady flies outside in a blue shirt and she changes the garbage. So again, pushing the narrative of me being garbage, right? The thing that this man started from the old gym. So I was just like, oh God, here we go. Right? And she's wearing a blue shirt. Something that they just started doing like 2 days ago. This blue shirt thing, this blue thing. I guess insinuating that I'm blue or depressed due to my situation. Again, just kind of antagonizing me about the situation, the unfair situation that I'm stuck in. So they just keep doing stuff. They just keep, it's every freaking month, it's like they're having fun with this thing. I think it's the most fun they've had on Island, to be honest with you. The people that are getting involved that are sadistically enjoying watching someone get tortured. Because you have some people that are thoroughly enjoying the show. So I think it's the most fun for some of them that they've had on Island and getting to color coordinate and be a part of this viral, weird, whatever stupid thing this is. So now it's like this new color now. Now they're using blue. Every minute they're changing the fucking colors, y'all. I'm telling you, I have a unique targeting. Like other targets, I noticed they talk about the specific targeting colors that are used on them. With my targeting, it's all kinds of patterns and colors and designs, and every minute it's something new that they're starting and everybody's wearing it. A few months ago, it was green. You know it's been yellow for a minute. They do the army fatigue. They do the red and white. They recently, a few months ago, also started using teal. That's the one thing I'm happy about. They learned teal was my favorite color, so sometimes they use it in a positive way. So I'm like, okay, sometimes they're using my color, thank God. But for the most part, it's just like these different colors that they use in a negative way. So anyways, y'all, so she comes on and she does that. I didn't even think anything nasty about her. I just like, I'm not gonna, give the thing attention. I just sat there. My phone dies. I'm like, how can my luck be this freaking bad? After I already got through it with the people in my close circle and, confirmed they're coming, my phone dies. So now I don't have my earphones to block out noise campaigns. So immediately she turns her TV up to the max. And they, it's a gridlock system. They done latched onto her internet. And they start doing the shadow networking via her TV, whatever she was playing. So I noticed the TV starts saying something about bitches. And it kept saying bitch, bitch, bitch. And while it's saying bitch, the bird starts chirping, right? And then shortly after that, it says something about great. So it's a knock or a shot about the cyber guy. You have to understand, 2 days ago, I made a video, like I said, about the cyber guy. And to know who he is, y'all, you have to listen to my whole story to know who he is. Remember, I told you there was this pre-existing situation here on Island with the men on Island due to what happened with that guy. So it didn't take much for them to turn against me with what happened with this man in the gym, even though it was completely unfair. Anyway, so at least with the cyber guy, I can say I was wrong in the situation. It was over a decade ago. That's what's crazy and weird to me. And what I was dealing with was a peculiar situation, y'all, where I was dealing with an ex that was leading me on. And so I took out my trust issues on him. But the level of punishment for as long as I dealt with it, where bets apparently were set up and all this crazy shit before my targeting, y'all. Anyway, it just manifested into the targeting. It's played a major role in my targeting as well, that situation. And I talked about it in my full story and got backlash for it. Until recently, where they admitted that they knew about the situation and there were bets going. Anyway, I know they knew. I'm not stupid. A lot of people were involved. So anyway, recently, like 2 days ago, they sent a false narrative about the situation. I forgot what they sent. Something about, this false narrative. I can't remember, y'all. They're constantly sending bullshit with the technology. They sent some false shit with the technology about the situation. And so I hopped on a video, and I was already making a video anyways. And I mentioned the situation. And I started, similar to what I did in the last video with the man in the gym, I started pointing out some of the actions that he took in that situation. And then I mentioned his child. And I already got backlash in the past for mentioning his child. And I took that video down, by the way, y'all. The video that I made where I mentioned his child in the past. And this video I made a couple of days ago, I didn't post it. I deleted it. But nonetheless, I still made the video. And so that's kind of now created this thing where I'm being looked at again in this negative way as it pertains to that situation. Even though they know bets were going, they know they're painting false narratives about the situation. They keep sending it with the technology. I'm just defending myself. It's still like, oh, I'm being a bitch again. The reason I mentioned the son is just as a way to prove that things were being done off and on throughout the year, these passive aggressive things. And I wanted to show that he even had like some sort of connection with my brother-in-law. I wasn't bringing it up to say that him and I had anything. It wasn't about that. It was, again, more so what took place after the situation, where it was years and years of torture Similar to what's happening with this man from the gym. And it's like he even linked up with my brother-in-law is what I was trying to show. And the name of his son is, you know, a name that my brother-in-law used to have associated with my brother-in-law. So I just, you know, I was just bringing up these things to point out certain actions that were taken because they were sending false narratives about that situation too with the technology. So I felt like I needed to remind them. So anyway, I did that, and oh boy, that's kind of like started to, you know, paint me in this negative light. And of course, the targeting immediately starts to utilize that moment and, you know, use it to vilify me and villainize me. I'm already being villainized. It doesn't take much. So they started throwing the great thing excessively, even though you were throwing it anyways. You threw the false narrative about it. That's what made me start talking about it in the video 2 days ago. I didn't post it on Facebook. I deleted the video, but I did talk about it. Anyway, so this is what was playing on her TV while I'm sitting there in the car waiting for my people to come help me. You know, I'm hearing bitch, bitch, bitch. And then I heard something about great. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm just sitting there like holding my head like, oh God, you know, I have to listen to this directed confidant. She done came out in a blue shirt throwing the trash away and whatever else she was doing. So I'm sitting there waiting and nobody ever came in to help. In fact, cars drove by and revved by, purposely drove on that road, gang stalkers. You think I'm stupid? I know those were gang stalkers. They have so many people they've recruited. They're coming in, they're revving by. I'm sure some of them were probably the man's friends, like the one that pulled up on me at the trash or the one that pulled up on me at the gas station. Anyway, they're coming in, they're revving by while I'm sitting there. It's like, you don't have to help me, but don't rev by. Like, it's obvious gang stalking. You're a gang stalker. So anyway, I'm sitting there, they're revving by and like getting enjoyment out of revving by while I'm waiting for the help to come. So eventually this man does pull up. I don't know if he was associated with the people in the house or not, because he parked across the street and he never did go in the house. What he did was he kind of walked up to me and he said, hey, you need help? You good? Like, he acted like he was walking in their yard. But then he turned around and came to me and said, hey, you need help? You good? And I said, don't worry about it. I said, I have someone coming. And he said, well, what's going on? You need a jump or something? And I said, yes. I said, I need a jump, but I also think I need gas. And he said, well, open it up. Let me see what's going on. So I opened the hood and he just tried to tighten the terminals for me. And he said, you have jumper cables? I said, no, I don't. I said, I have a jump starter, but it needs to charge. He said, oh God. And he held his head. And then he closed the thing down for me and he said, well, don't worry about it. You know, you're not in the main roadway, so don't worry about that fuck. He said, don't worry about, excuse my language, this is what he said. He said, don't worry about that fuck. He said, you good? I said, yeah. But then he finishes off with, you need water? He asked me, after he asked me if I'm good, then he said, you need water or anything? So he had to throw in the reference of the thirsty. He did offer to help at least, so I am grateful that he offered to help. But then he felt the need to throw in the reference of need water. So understand what's taking place here, y'all. So anyway, then he acted like he was going in the yard and he didn't really go in. He kind of just turned around, went to his red car, sat in there for a while and he left. So I don't know if he was just trying to be friendly and a good Samaritan, but he had to go with the program instead of water thing, or if he was one of their people, one of the gang stalkers. Y'all, I don't know. I have no clue, but he did offer to help. That was the only person that stopped. And again, I wasn't on the main road. I was in this cut off, duck off road, but still it's like a road that everybody knows. If anybody wanted to come in there and help, they could have. But I already had my people coming. But understand, it's already this manipulative gang stalking kind of thing that they run everything down here. So if they want to make it so nobody comes to help you, nobody will stop to help you. That's never happened to me before, y'all. I told y'all just literally 2 months ago, my car ran out of gas. I was leaving work and I was not even looking cute that day. At least today I was in my gym clothes looking okay. And the reason I'm saying looking cute, not that these things matter, that shouldn't determine whether someone's going to help you or not. And if someone helps you, that doesn't mean they want you. Of course not. It's just a good Samaritan. But I'm just trying to see what they're trying to do now. As soon as I got home, immediately they're pushing the thirsty thing. And they couldn't wait to hop on top of me and pretend like the unwanted, vapid, thirsty female because no one stopped to help me. So that's why I'm saying the thing about look cute. It's a stupid, dumb, immature shit. So anyways, at least today I was looking cute in my gym clothes and stuff. That day I was looking wretched. You know, for the night shift, I am working the night shift. Yes, I get dressed and I bathe and I make sure I'm looking decent and presentable. But it is the night shift, y'all. I'd be looking rough as hell, right? So I was looking rough. My hair wasn't done. I had the stocking cap on, etc. My hat on, whatever. And I wear my mask for work too, y'all, just because I feel like I'm being stared at. So to feel comfortable, I put my mask on and my dark shades on. I'm wearing a baggy security uniform. I'm headed home. I noticed like the car cutting off on me. So it cut off by this road that kind of dips, like you could turn off the highway and go down into like this cutoff, and it leads down to like this dismal field that some people go to work out sometimes. And this was early in the morning. So I'm all the way down in there in the cut. Nobody had to come in there and help me. That wasn't even near a main road or anything like that to say like, I mean, it's near the highway, of course, but it's in this cutoff kind of way to where people can pretend like they don't see you. This roster man came down eventually, and he offered to help me. He said, "You need help? You good, mama?" I said, "I'm good, thank you." And I remembered I was able to get, that's to tell you, I don't really like to take help like that. I don't even want anyone helping me because I know how they are with this bullying kind of, anytime someone helps you. Anyway, so I was able to get the car started, and I was able to get it at least up the hill, and then I was able to get it next to the high school that I went to. And then I got in touch with my dad, and he said he would bring me the gas. So I was good that day. There was another time, too, where my car, right before my Jeep went bad, y'all, the day my Jeep went completely kaput. This was like maybe 3 months ago, about 3 months ago, when the Jeep went completely kaput. I remember I was driving past the old gym, on the road by the old gym, and I was headed to the mechanic, coincidentally enough, because the car was acting the damn fool. And while I'm heading to him, the car just started to give out. It just started giving out on the main road. And so it just gave completely out on the main road. I was in the middle of the road. Immediately, all these guys from the fish market ran and they helped me, and they pushed my car into the fish market. And they were all working on my car, trying to figure out what the problem was, and they were helping me. I guess the program didn't like that. They kept diving birds down. They were flying flies in my face, all kinds of stuff, because these guys were helping me. Immediate gang stalking activity. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to show you there have been moments recently where my car is cut off and I got help. So I just feel like this was a tactic. I feel like they were doing this thing where they were making it like nobody would stop to help me. I really do feel like this was a tactic being done. Especially when they started gang stalking with this lady's internet. What was coming out of her house about great and bitch, bitch, bitch. And then also what happened when I got to the tire shop. So anyways, y'all. And they even chirped too. I said, I know that was y'all. I know you're the reason I didn't get help. They were chirping the bird. So anyways, y'all. There was another time too, y'all, when this one happened quite a while ago. This happened months ago. Like I think at the end of last year, something like that. Where I was out on the opposite end of the island, the east end of the island. This was when I still had my Jeep, when the problems had just, was starting to get worse with the Jeep. When I had taken it to the mechanic several times. Anyway, I don't want to go into the details about it. It's already water under the bridge. It's already happened. But anyway, I was having this overheating problem. And so I remembered it started overheating so bad I got scared. The engines had blown. So I remembered I pulled in by this gas station. And this guy came up, this good Samaritan, to help me. And he was very kind. And he did some directed convo too, kind of trying to hint to me what was going on in a way. But he was very kind and he helped me too. And then I remembered him even driving in front of me a good ways to make sure I got where I was going. So I've gotten help numerous times where my car is cut off. It's never been this thing where I couldn't get help at all, y'all. But now this thing with these pictures happened with all this activity with the Facebook. And they keep hitting my head with the energy weapon, whatever they were doing. They were just literally doing it when I was on the west end of the island before the car cuts off. Then now a perfect opportunity for them to do the manipulation of the tactic, whatever. The thing happens. I'm waiting for my people to come. Not getting help. Which again, I'm not expecting to get help. And everybody already heard that my people are coming too anyways. So it's not like I couldn't get through to anyone and then nobody stopped to help me. I did get through immediately and I was told I was going to get help. But nonetheless, y'all, nobody did stop besides that one guy. So my brother comes and he helps me out and, we get things going. He puts the fixer flat in my tire so I can make it to the tire shop. He gets me gas. He gives me a jump, etc. So I go to the gas station to put more fixer flat in before I make the journey to the tire shop. When I pull up to the gas station, there's a child outside playing in purple. And the guys whose content I shared, y'all, the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda that I shared in my car in Florida, the specific Hebrew camp whose content I was sharing, they wear purple. So whenever they're trying to push that narrative about me, sharing that stuff, they'll use purple. So they purposely had the child. So the child is supposed to represent the false narrative from the text message. They had the child outside playing with purple on. So I just ignored it. I'm just like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I went in there. I was polite to the lady. I bought the fixer flat. I filled up my tire. I remained humble. And I headed to the tire shop. When I get to the tire shop now, the shop is still open. They don't close until like 7. It was only like, I think, 5:45, something like that, almost 6 o'clock. The guy said, what's going on? How bad is it? Can you come back tomorrow? Come back tomorrow. I said, please. I almost had to like beg him. I really begged him. I've been going to them for years, by the way, and they've always done good by me. They've always done my tires. I haven't had an issue. But even since the targeting has gone viral, I've gone to them numerous times with my Jeep. My Jeep tires kept popping for some reason. Been to them numerous times. There was never this thing where I'm like feeling like I have to beg to get my tire changed. It's like immediately they're open and things are working out. The guy's changing oil is what he told me in like some back storage room, and he said, can you come back tomorrow? I said, please. I said, I have work tonight. I need to get this tire changed. I said, I don't mind waiting, please. So he said, okay, hold on. And then immediately though, as soon as he started telling me, can I come back tomorrow, there was revving in the road, y'all. A bunch of rev camping, gang stalking. So I know what's the program. I know that's why I didn't get help. Anyway, so after he tells me, okay, he tells me, wait, go ahead and wait. I wait. Then he fixes the tire. While he's fixing the tire, this guy pulls up. Some guy that wasn't even paying attention to me, didn't even look in my direction. He comes up the car. They're revving by in the road doing rev campaign because he pulled up while I'm at the tire shop. Like, this is what I'm dealing with, y'all. So it's like this intimidation stuff too that they be doing. They do like weird stuff. He didn't even look at me. They're revving by because he pulled up same time as me while I'm getting the tire fixed. Like, they didn't even want for a moment it to look like anybody was gonna help me. It's a tactic, and it's all about perception and painting a certain narrative. So anyways, y'all, I'm like, whatever. I didn't realize what's going on. I'm like, at least I got my tire fixed. I'm smiling. I'm like, thank God the ordeal is over. I get to the house now. Soon as I get home, immediately tactics being used. I'm even noticing noise campaigns from some of the people in the house pertaining to what took place. Like, I'm thirsty. I'm in the shower. I notice I'm hearing stomping on the floor every time I'm putting water on my face. Then I get in the bed, right? I'm like, okay, let me make a video about this bullshit because they're going to start to manipulate and do stuff, right? And I know it's the picture that's causing the irritation. The picture that got likes and the stories that got views. Ooh. So I started making this video and, I got tired. And I was like, you know what? Let me just finish it tomorrow. I'll finish, not tomorrow, when I get to work is what I told myself. And so I went to sleep and here I am at work now, y'all. And I was supposed to finish the video. I didn't. I kept procrastinating. As usual, they're doing tactics. The first thing was, when I first got on, the light was gone. Then eventually the maintenance man that works during the daytime came and fixed the light. Every time I'm putting food to my mouth to eat, they're making noise campaign. So again, pushing the false narrative about me being this closeted lesbo and the false narrative from the text. And just trying to do the tactic of accusing me of different things as retribution for me, quote unquote, bearing false witness. So I didn't get upset about that. I'm like, okay, if they're taking it that way, whatever. It's the same redundant stupidness, but okay. Then they also did the thirsty thing. But they did it in succession with the eat thing. So I didn't mind. I was like, okay, whatever. But I noticed as the night is progressing, after the generator comes back on and the light comes back on, as the night or the morning, I should say, is progressing, every time I take a sip of my drink, they're flying by. Or every time I pull the mask down to pick my lips, they're flying by. So again, low-key, aggressively trying to push the thirsty narrative because of what happened earlier. As if I don't know that was a tactic. You have seen me get help every other time in recent months, too. Every time my car has stopped. Now, all of a sudden, nobody stopped, which, again, I don't care or mind. But I'm just saying I know it was a tactic. And I already heard someone was coming to help me anyways. But I know it was a tactic, especially with what was being said on this lady's TV that they were using as a gang stalker. So now I'm sitting here every minute, I'm going to sip the drink. Now they're using this as some sort of retribution. Like, trying to use this. It's just crazy with this program, y'all. This program is out of control. I'm telling you. It's out of control. So I said, you know what, let me hop in and make this video. And I actually deleted the video I made at the house because I realized it was too all over the place. So I sat here and I said, let me make the video again and talk in detail about what took place today. How it's, again, another manipulative tactic and how they're still, again, trying to push a narrative of me being the vapid, thirsty female. As retribution for this man from the old gym, they're still doing it. And still trying to push like the don't want tech. Like, it's almost like you're screaming still he don't like you in a way. Like, this is your subliminal way of still doing that. Leave me alone about that. If you really feel that way, you wouldn't still be doing this. You said I told y'all in the last video what was going on with the technology. They were insinuating he had been happily in his relationship for a year. The relationship they hooked him up with after this thing with me happened. I'm like, okay, if he's happy, And it's been a year. Can I move on, please, from the man that I didn't know like that? Please, can I move on? Please stop telling me he doesn't like me. Please stop insinuating that he doesn't like me. Please stop trying to paint this false narrative of me being this vapid, thirsty thing as retribution for him. Please let go of that element of the targeting like you said you were going to do or you hinted you were going to do. And focus on the things that really matter. Even though those things are bullshit too. Because I've already apologized for it and I over 4 years ago at this point now shared the content. And you've used the gang stalkers, the people who created the content as gang stalkers. So that's BS too. But okay, still, even if you focus on that element of things, I understand that more. I can work with that more. But this thing with the man from the gym who started with me first and this punishing me for things that are out of my control, I can't deal with it. And every minute trying to use every little thing that happens as like this manipulative tactic to paint the false narrative of me being thirsty. Stop doing it. It's ridiculous, man. Anyways, y'all. So I had to make this video, y'all. I just had to document what took place today and how, again, they're trying to use like these manipulative tactics to their advantage, again, as some sort of retribution for this man from the old fucking gym. Every other time my car stopped, I got help, you know. The fish market thing was the coup de grace. Oh my God, they were doing all kinds of stuff with the birds and the flies. It was ridiculous. And you had rough campaign happening too. That was recent, y'all. That was 3 months ago. Anyways. So that's it, y'all. I just had to talk about this, y'all. I had to talk about it. It's just crazy what's going on. I had to document and knock down what they were trying to do with the manipulation and talk about what took place today and talk about what's been taking place with my Facebook and with the new gym and the stuff with the old man from the old gym that they won't let go of still. This is part 2 to the last video, y'all. It's still continuing. All right, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out. Y'all, I forgot to mention, there was even an incident that happened about a week ago where I was on the highway in my car. I might have mentioned, I can't remember. Just in case I didn't. Even a week ago, y'all, as little as a week ago, I had the same incident issue I was just talking about with the battery, where it slipped off the terminal and it cuts off. Right on the highway, it cut off, which is so dangerous too. It was nighttime. And I had to stop abruptly, park the car, hop out the car real quick, and plug the terminals in and put it to charge. And this is something everyone on island has been watching happening. So they know this is the thing with my car. You know, everybody's watching me. But still, there was this guy that stopped, a good Samaritan, and he genuinely asked me, hey, you good? You need help? I said, yeah, I'm good. I said, I'll just jump in it real quick with my jump start or whatever. I said, thank you. He said, okay, no problem. He left. So just a week ago, I was offered help, y'all, in a situation where I didn't even really need help like that. So this was definitely a tactic that was being done today here. Anyway, there's just wanted to add that in there, y'all. All right, peace out. You know, I just had this weird thing in my head. Neuromonitoring. I'm just documenting it, y'all, for my protection, because there is technology in my body. And I've already shown y'all with the DARPA diagram the capabilities of the technology. It can change your DNA. It can cause cancer. It can do all kinds of stuff in your body. Anything they want. They can stop your heart. All kinds of stuff. They have all control. All control, y'all. It's very scary stuff when you have this technology in your body. Very scary. Oh, I heard this thing in my head about building up again. I can build it up again. And then it said something about you know, God forbid I rebuke this in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. And I plead the blood of Jesus on me. I plead the blood of Yeshua on me. There's something about I could feel the cancer building. And yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. Like, this is what I was hearing in my head, y'all. I kid you not. I was literally waiting for the video to upload, right? And I just simply was just sitting there. And I had rested my hand on my head. My head on my hand. It's 4:55. And I started getting tired, but I stayed up. I was just kind of just trying to relax and wait for the video to upload. So 2 of them have uploaded. There's a third one, the what I made just now. It's a minute long, and now there's this one that I'm going to add to the clips. That was when I started hearing whatever, you know, that phase I always tell you where I'm feeling sleepy, and it's like that phase where I could fall asleep. where I start hearing stuff. It was almost like it was like a dream that was like gonna happen, but it's like I'm like still up. It's just this weird thing. But that's what I was hearing. And then the bird starts going chirping, and then I hear like a phone call came through from in the facility. I just said scary stuff, man, because I do have technology in my body, man. So I just wanted to document that, y'all.